Hello. Well, my new book, 12 Rules for Leaders, The Foundation for Intentional Leadership, with contributions from Bradley Madigan, is out now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere else you buy books. In this book, I address the 12 leadership areas that I have found leaders need to be the most intentional in to be the type of leader followers actually want to follow. From establishing a foundation of leading teams through managing conflict effectively, all the way through leading teams through change, knowing what to do and why to do it can help readers like you become better leaders in the real. 12 Rules for Leaders is a written continuation of the work I've been practically doing, leveraging the leadership training and development products and services of Leadership Toolbox all the way to leading keys. 12 Rules for Leaders represents a distillation of practical lessons I've learned, absorbed, and transmitted from training and developing 15,000 managers and supervisors over the last 10 years. Reading 12 Rules for Leaders and living it is like getting coaching from me directly without having to pay my full coaching rate. Look, this is a book written for all those leaders, some who call themselves managers and supervisors, who believe that their daily leadership decisions don't matter, or that their hard-won leadership positions are too innocuous and meaningless to matter much in the chaotic world of the now. 12 Rules for Leaders is the confirmation you are looking for that you are the leader for exactly the historical moment happening right now. Head on over to leadershiptoolbox.us and scroll down the homepage. Click on the Buy Now button and purchase in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle format on Amazon 12 Rules for Leaders, the foundation for intentional leadership. And that's it for me. Out. Hello, my name is Hassan Sorrells, and this is the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast, Shorts. There's no co-host on Shorts. These are 6 to 8 minute observations, ideas, thoughts, or rants about the literature, philosophy, psychology, and the theology of leadership. Because listening to me talk about leadership for what is now 6 to 8 minutes is significantly better than reading and trying to understand yet another business book. Leadership and conflict go together like peanut butter and jelly. And because leaders face conflict just about as often as they eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, they should probably have the strategies to address conflicts within themselves, on their teams, and in their organizations pretty much down pat. We have not found this to be so. Instead, what we see in our work with leaders at all levels of an organizational hierarchy is the tendency to address conflict, or not address conflict, in the same way many of their followers do. To compound the issue, leaders tend to blame or place accountability for the outcomes of the conflict in other areas, or on other people. Not all leaders do this act, as you may be thinking right now. Some leaders rise above the conflict fray, manage problems, attempt to valiantly resolve issues, and try mightily to do everything in their power to move themselves, the team, and the organization forward, despite resistance, pullback, pushback, ennui, disinterest, and bureaucracy. And yet, even excellent leaders are still stymied by conflict, and have been since time out of mind. Why is this? Well, conflicts happen for a variety of reasons, but the biggest reasons tend to be around the perceived inequitable distribution of perceived limited resources, rather than merely over people, time, or the perennial favorite as a conflict driver, money. Conflicts happen not because of people's employment positions, their emotions, or even their differing ideas, although all those areas can be drivers to escalate conflicts past the point where they can be successfully negotiated. Leaders will discover, if they listen closely to the people actually in conflict and give subtext as much attention as they tend to grant to context, that many of the conflicts are driven by stories. Stories, or narratives, are structured around control, power, merit, competency, emotions, and other elements, and they become the contextual soup leaders find themselves stewing in. Stories followers tell themselves, each other, and the leader lead to systems of beliefs and values that inevitably create the cultures in which conflicts thrive. The fact is, leaders are people, and people forget. They forget their posture and their positions in a conflict. They forget their place in their very carefully crafted narrative scripts. They succumb to the range of emotions inherent in the conflict moment. They fall prey to the tactics and skill sets of amateurs and other dangerous opponents in a conflict, and they forget or put down the power they had. They rely on their positional authority to bring weight to conflicts where their positional authority, to paraphrase from leadership author Marshall Goldsmith, will not get them where they want to go with the other party, even though it got them to where they are at right now. The presence of ego, the power of emotional context, the trend toward forgetfulness, feelings of entitlement or victimization, resentment, and a lack of accountability all can guide the leader inevitably toward ruin in a conflict scenario. Many leaders instinctively default to the idea that more or clearer communication will somehow be their savior in a conflict scenario. Or they hold to the false belief that a tactic or quote-unquote hack will drain the messy emotions from a conflict scenario and will somehow make the other party reasonable and compliant. Then some leaders believe they will overcome another party's objections by sheer force of will or through leveraging charisma to avoid problems altogether. Rules for leaders. Rule number 3. Leaders know the 3 C's. And that's it for me. Listen and subscribe to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast on all the major podcast players that you listen to, including iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and of course, Spotify. And leave a 5-star review if you like the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast. Look, we need those reviews to grow, and it's the easiest way that you can help us actually grow this show. And of course, tell all your friends. If you want to get started down the leadership path, our products from HSCT Publishing can help you and your team do that. So check out our training webinars, our coaching services, and more at leadershiptoolbox.us. And check out our video-based subscription service at leadingkeys.com. We've got books that will help you and your team grow. So pick up a copy today of My Boss Doesn't Care, 100 Essays on Disrupting Your Workplace by Disrupting Your Boss. And subscribe to the Little Red podcast we launched earlier this year with the same name as this Little Red book. My Boss Doesn't Care, 100 Essays on Disrupting Your Workplace by Disrupting Your Boss. And of course, pick up my most recent book, 12 Rules for Leaders, the Foundation of Intentional Leadership, written with Bradley Madigan. You're going to want to pick up a copy of that in April 2022. And you can get both of these books in paperback, hardcover, or as ebooks on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and any other place you order books on demand. Finally, we are on YouTube, or I'm on YouTube, or someone around here is on YouTube. So like and subscribe to the video version of the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast on the HSCT Publishing channel on YouTube. Just search for HSCT Publishing on YouTube and hit the subscribe button to get updates every single time we upload a new video, which we do that at least once a week. And subscribe to the Hassan Sorrells Presents Audio Experience podcast. Yes, I have 3 podcasts on YouTube where I talk more casually with a wider range of people about all matters that matter in the world today. Everything from fatherhood to criminal justice, Christianity to artificial intelligence. We cover the entire plethora of things that are floating around in my mind, and that's why it's called an audio experience. All right, well, that's it for me. Out.